Hari Om, dear students. Let us start the third part of the tsunami. So in the previous classes, we have discussed first part of tsunami and second part of tsunami. In first part, we have discussed about the different experiences of the people of Andaman and Nicobar who had faced tsunami in their life, like Ignatius, Sanjeev, Meghna and Alma and their stories. And in second part, we have discussed about a girl by name Tilly Smith who had saved many lives along with her and her own family in Thailand with the help of the geography lesson which she had heard just 2 weeks before coming to Thailand in her classroom. Actually, she had come to Thailand from England to celebrate Christmas, and just before coming to Thailand 2 weeks earlier in her geography class, she had seen a video about the tsunami which had hit Hawaiian Island and about all the consequences of tsunami. So just by seeing the sea and especially the foam and as well as the high raising what do we call tides and whirlpools which were formed in the sea, she immediately felt that something is going to be wrong, and she started screaming and to get out of the beach, and immediately her family and as well as the other tourists who were there in the beach immediately went to the nearby hotel, and they took a refuge or a shelter in the third floor of the hotel, and they saved themselves. So this was the story about Tilly Smith in the second part of the video of this tsunami. And now let us get into the third part, and it is totally about the animals and their what do we call how do they reacted towards the tsunami and the other aspects of animals in accordance with this tsunami we are going to discuss here. The most important thing which we are going to discuss in this part especially is about animals. So can animals sense tsunami? That is what the most important question here, because there are many beliefs that animals have some sixth sense or some other powers which through they can save themselves or also forewarn others to save from natural disasters. So in the same way here, there is a huge question. Can animals sense a tsunami? So here children, can you answer me? Really animals sense tsunami? Let us see in the lesson whether animals will sense or they will forewarn the people about the natural disasters, especially tsunami. Before searching for the answer to our questions that can animals sense tsunami, I would like to share something with you children. That is, did you know that very few animals actually died in tsunami? Yes, it's real. When compared to human beings, very few animals have died in tsunami. How is it possible? We human beings who thinks ourselves as the most intelligent beings on the earth couldn't save ourselves from tsunami, which resulted us in a great loss of lives and as well as property. So in this way, both financially and emotionally, we were affected because of tsunami. Then how is it possible that only few animals have died in tsunami? Isn't it, children? So we should definitely find out the reason why only few animals were died in tsunami. Okay? Yeah. The next question here is, did animals sense that tsunami was coming? Don't know. If they have sensed it, how do they sense? Because as few animals were dead, we can say that they have some sensing power that through which they have sensed that tsunami was coming. So did these animals sense that tsunami is coming? We should find it out. So try to find out, children, why only few animals died during tsunami, and as well as did animals have the sense that they found tsunami was coming? Okay, hope you will definitely will find the answer. So before entering into or before getting into the next continuous of this video, you should find it out, because I'm going to give you answer in the next part of the video. Now continuous. So there are some stories that really suggest that yes, they have the sensing power. So now continue our lesson. Before the giant waves slammed into the coast in India and Sri Lanka, wild and domestic animals seemed to know that what was about to happen. See here, so when this tsunami was about to hit India and Sri Lanka, both these wild and as well as domestic animals, they seem to be like they appear to be, they look to be, they know everything what was about to happen. So how can we say that they appear to be known that what was about to happen is they fled to safety? That means they have moved to the safer places to save themselves. So in this way, we can say that these animals, both wild and domestic animals, might have known that what was about to come. What was about to come here? Tsunami, isn't it? So because of that, they have moved to the safer places. And according to eyewitness, that means most of the people have seen that elephants screamed and ran for higher grounds. So most of the animals, they started screaming or grunting, you can see, and they moved to the higher places, because if they are at the lower places, definitely the tsunami waves, they come and hit and drag these animals, these elephants, into the sea. So immediately what they have done is, the moment they have felt that tsunami is going to come through the vibrations, immediately they have fled or they have ran to the higher grounds and they saved themselves. And even dogs refuse to go outdoors. So here you can see the dogs are totally indoors. Generally dogs never likes to be indoors. They always love to be outdoors and play or roam here and there, watch people or bark at people. So in this way you can see most of the dogs love to be outside. But on that day they didn't go out, they refused. That means they didn't like, they refused to go out and they stay inside. They didn't dogs refused to go outdoors. They didn't go outdoors and they stayed indoors. Here see, they have stayed just in the house under something. That means they are hiding somewhere in the safer place. Even flamingos abandoned their low-lying breeding areas. See here, here are the flamingos. Actually, they breed in the sense just no laying eggs and hatching the eggs. Generally, these flamingos, they breed in the low parts, low-lying areas of the water bodies like seas or the rivers, especially seas or the ponds. So, but on actually when they are on the low-lying areas, especially on that day when the tsunami was about to come, these flamingos abandoned here in the sense here they left that low-lying areas where they were breeding, which areas were used for breeding purpose by these flamingos. They have left that place. They have abandoned in the sense they have left that place and they have moved to the safer places, and zoo animals rushed into their shelters and could not be enticed to come back out. So not only these free animals, the animals which were kept in the zoo also, they didn't come out. They have gone back to their shelters. They have gone back to their shelters and they didn't like to come back. They couldn't entice in the sense they were not willing to come back to the out like open areas. They didn't like to come to the open areas. They went back to their shelters and they stayed there itself safely. So all these things clearly shows to us that animals have sensed tsunami earlier. Isn't it, children? Let us say when we feel some danger or something terrible is going to happen, what do we do? Immediately we will keep ourselves in a safer place or safer situation, isn't it? In the same way, when these animals have felt that vibrations from the earth, immediately they have moved to the safer places. Here in this story you can see the elephants here which have screamed a lot and moved to the highlands, higher grounds, and as well as dogs, they didn't like to go out and spend time. They just restricted themselves to be in indoors. And even flamingos, they have left their low-lying breeding areas and they have flown away to the safer places. And not only all these free animals, even the animals in the zoo, they have gone back to their shelters and they didn't come to outside areas. Many people believe that animals possess a sixth sense and know when the earth is going to shake. So there are some different beliefs, children. Some people believe that animals have some powers, or some other people say that no, they don't have any powers, just they sense the vibration. So here many people believe that these animals, they possess in the sense they have some sixth sense in the sense knowing the things what will happen in future earlier itself. Let us say tomorrow what will happen, the next minute what will happen, we will be knowing now itself. So in this way, some people believe that these animals are having sixth sense, and because of that sixth sense they could analyze, or they knew that when the earth is going to shake, and that's why they have saved their lives. This is one belief from a group of people. Okay, but for every belief of superstitious beliefs, there is some science behind it, isn't it? In the same way here, some experts, they believe that it is not a sixth sense, but these animals have more acute hearing. Acute hearing, that means they are very powerful in hearing. They can hear even the minute sounds, because of which they could hear or feel the earth's vibration. We have already discussed here, children, in the previous parts of the lesson, why tsunami is caused. It is caused because of the earth's vibration, earth layers vibrations under the sea, which forces these sea tides or the waves with a greater force, isn't it? So when this process was about to happen, like when the earth is vibrating, then and there itself these animals could feel or hear these kind of vibrations, and because of that they can sense that some disaster is going to be approached, and immediately they will try to save themselves. See, they can sense an approaching disaster long before humans realize what's going to happen, because as we don't have that acute hearing power, we can't analyze or we can't sense what is going to happen. We can't forewarn ourselves, but these animals which are having acute power of hearing or feeling the earth's vibration, immediately they can sense the approaching disaster in the sense the disaster which is going to come, and they save themselves and even try to forewarn the other nearby humans or other animals also. Okay, so see here, these kind of animals, they definitely run back to the safer animals. In the previous paragraph we have discussed that elephants have grunted and they have gone to higher grounds, and here we cannot be sure whether animals have a sixth sense or not, but the fact is that the giant waves that rolled through the Indian Ocean killed more than 150,000 people in a dozen countries, but not many animals have been reported dead. So whatever the matter may be, some people say that the animals have the sixth sense, some others says that because of their acute hearing power, the acute in the sense extreme acute hearing power they have saved, whatever the reason, okay, whether they may have sixth sense or not, but the fact is that giant waves of tsunami, that is the big waves of tsunami which have rolled to the Indian Ocean, which has hit India, Sri Lanka, and as well as Thailand, Andaman and Nicobar, all these islands, they have rolled up and they have killed more than 150,000 people. So how many people it has killed? More than 150,000 people were killed in this tsunami in almost in the dozen countries. That dozen in the sense 12 here. So in the 12 countries it has killed more than 150,000 people. But coming to animals, the number is really very small, because many animals have not been reported dead. Very few animals, when compared to human beings, very few animals were dead. So with this we can say that animals have some acute hearing power or sixth sense, whatever it may be, but they have saved themselves. Along India's Kadalur coast, where thousands of people perished, buffaloes, goats, and dogs were found unharmed. See, this is the best example along the India's Kadalur coast. Kadalur is a place on the coastal side of India. So along this Kadalur coast, nearly thousands of people were perished in the sense they have swept away, and most of the people were killed along the Kadalur coast of India. But regarding the animals, most of the buffaloes, goats, and dogs were found unharmed. Unharmed in the sense they were not affected, they were not harmed. See, even all many human beings of these Kadalur coast were perished when they were swept away, but animals were not at all harmed. This is also one of the example we can say that animals have the acute hearing power or some kind of a sense which will be helping these animals to uh, analyze that some natural disaster like tsunami was about to come. And especially the Ala National Park in Sri Lanka. This is the national park in Sri Lanka, and it is the home of a variety of animals. Many animals were kept in this national park, and these many animals just like elephants, leopards, and 130 species of birds. So in this way, different animals were kept in this Ala National Park of Sri Lanka, and 60 visitors were washed away from the Patangala beach inside the park. So inside this park there was a beach by name Patangala beach. So Patangala beach, in this beach, nearly 60 visitors who have come to that park, they were washed away. But no animal carcasses were found. Here carcasses in the sense dead bodies. So no animal dead body was found except two water buffaloes. Actually they are in the water. They might have been swept away along with the huge waves. Except the two water buffaloes, no other animal is found to be dead. But coming to human beings, 60 people, 60 visitors who have come to that the Ala National Park have fled away or washed away in the tsunami. And about an hour before the tsunami hit, Pioplat at Yala National Park had observed 3 elephants running away from Patangala beach. So before this tsunami was about to come in the park, 3 elephants, they started running away from this beach. So in these are the different examples where you can easily say that yes, animals have a acute hearing power and they can sense these tsunamis, because nearly 60 visitors were died in this Ala National Park, whereas coming to animals, only 2 water buffaloes were dead, and even 3 elephants started running away from Patangala beach to save themselves. So all these strategies say that animals have an acute hearing power and they save themselves. Here is another Sri Lankan gentleman who lived on the coastal area of Gale, and he said that every day his 2 dogs would love to go to beach to have a run. See, here is a picture. So every day dogs used to go to beach and have a nice play with the tides, and they used to have a wonderful time. But that day they would not go for their daily run on the beach. So they are usually excited to go for outing, but that day they didn't like to go, and because of which they have saved his own life. But on that day they refused to go and most probably saved his life. So in this way it was his own experience. Here you can see generally the dogs, they go and they watch, but they just go for outing and they play in the beach. But here that day they didn't go and they saved this person's life. So it is also one more evident that the dogs have some kind of a sensing power of natural disasters. Comprehension check of this part, children. So in tsunami, 1,50,000 people died. How many animals died? Very few animals have died, isn't it? And moving to the next question, how many people and animals died in Ala National Park? Nearly 60 visitors, those who have come to Yala National Park, who have died. And coming to animals, only 2 water buffaloes have died, isn't it? Moving to the next question, what do people say about elephants of Yala National Park? So 3 elephants of Yala National Park, just before tsunami was about to come, they started moving away from the beach and they started running towards the safer places. Moving to the next question, what did the dogs in Galley do? So the dogs in the galley, every day they love to go to beach for outing, but on that day especially they didn't like to go, they refused to go. So in that way they have saved this Sri Lankan also. Hope you have understood this part, children. If you have any doubts, please try to contact us so that we can clarify your doubts. Okay, Hari Om. Thank you.